response to these submissions that we made. And under paragraph 361 of their submissions, they say that, in fact, this was a sui generis, it was a sui generis procedure, to the effect that it was not an approval, but a vote by the National Assembly. Your Lordship, assuming even we take the argument that they say that in fact it was a vote and not an approval hearing, Your Lordship, then the provisions of Article 118 of the Constitution will then apply, because they will still need to conduct public participation as required under Article 118. And Article 118 provides that public access and participation. So it says that Parliament shall facilitate public participation and involvement in the legislative and other business of Parliament and its committees. So, Your Lordship, even if they escape the provisions of Section 6(4) of this Act, of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, then they cannot circumvent the provisions of Article 118, which requires that Parliament must still, in all its businesses, involve the people. And Your Lordship, there is an authority that I want to rely on, and that is Legal Advice Center and two others. It is in our case, in our bundle of authorities, versus the County Government of Mombasa and four others. It's a 2018 decision. And Your Lordship, I just want to quote in verbatim a very small part where the court said that the purpose of permitting public participation in the lawmaking process is to afford the public an opportunity to influence the decision of the lawmakers. So, Your Lordship, assuming that we were to take the proposal that they said that this was a vote that ought to have been taken by the National Assembly, then under Article 118, they must have sought public participation before they made the vote to approve the Deputy President nominee. And Your Lordship, they further give a fallacious explanation and say that actually it is equal to the election of the Speaker and Deputy Speaker and members of the regional Parliament, that is IALA. So, Your Lordship, that is not true. In this case, this nominee is directly appointed by the President, and there is a memorandum of presidential appointment. In the case of a Speaker and members of the East African Legislative Assembly, they are directly elected by Parliament, or rather in whichever house that is applicable. So there is no nomination that happens by any authority in terms of before the Speaker is elected. They are directly elected by the members of Parliament. So, Your Lordship, the last issue that I'm going to discuss as I conclude is on the issue of whether the Senate violated Article 145 in terms of taking the plenary route. Your Lordship, our submission is that it was not open in law for the Senate to take the approach of the plenary. And my learned senior Ochiel Dudley had already discussed Article 145(3). So, Your Lordship, I will not belabor on that point, other than to submit that under that provision, that is Article 145(3), where it says that the Speaker of the Senate shall convene a meeting of the Senate to hear the charges against the President, and the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. So, Your Lordship, even if we were to apply all the statutory, or rather all the interpretations, rules of interpretations of the Constitution, all of them will point to the position that the appropriate route was the special committee. And Your Lordship, there is the first rule is the literal, of course, interpretation of this provision. It is clear that from the reading of that provision, there is nowhere in which the framers of the Constitution provided that a plenary session can be held to investigate into the conduct of the Deputy President. And in fact, Your Lordship, from Article 145, it is clear that the Constitution was very clear in terms of the impeachment of the President, because it does apply to the President, and of the Deputy President. It went further to actually provide what needs to happen. And it is a constitutional buffer that was put there to ensure that whoever is undergoing the process of impeachment will get the benefit of the law. And I will shortly be reading the provisions of Article 27 of the Constitution, where it actually provides for equal benefit of the law. And maybe I can just quickly, as I finalize, read section 27(1), which provides that every person is equal before the law and